Welcome to the Books, Beards, Booze podcast, where we talk books, drink booze, and have beards.
All right. As always, I am Bob of Tales by Bob.
I'm the ass of the podcast, Derek, from the land of I'm having alcohol again, so that's fun.
Hey,
Yeah.
Someone's done with Sober October.
And a few days to spare.
Ooh.
But, again,
It was planned.
it was planned. I started early because I knew that tonight was Bob's Halloween party, and
Yeah.
you can't come to the Halloween party and not have an alcoholic beverage
It's
or
my
two.
14th year in a row having a Halloween party.
I've probably been to a lot of them in a row at this point.
Yeah, you've been to most of them.
I missed the...
You
right
probably missed
before
like the first couple.
I know we already sidetracked. Anyways.
No, that's fine. So as we talked about last week, each week now, instead of just talking about a bunch of different stuff, we're kind of doing deep dives into one topic in particular. And this week, because it's spooky season, we are doing Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz. Also, though, we are drinking, as we talked about, we're only going to be drinking one bottle of liquor at a time until it's done. And this week, we are drinking Four Roses Single Barrel. This bottle was given to me by a friend of mine. He's stuck down in Panama City. I did a supply run down there, and he gave me this bottle. And so that's what we started drinking. If you haven't seen it yet, go check out our pregame
On the YouTube.
on the YouTubes, on the Tales by Bob YouTube. But we're now with every episode, we're pairing it with a pregame video. And so, like, I don't know about you, but I got a little buzz going.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, in summary, in case you don't want to watch that or you just can't or whatever, Four Roses. I did not, like, it's $43 price point.
I think something like that, yeah.
And for a single barrel, that's good. That's a good price for a single barrel. I read a list. It was like the 5 best single barrels for under $60, and this was on that list. And so $43 for a single barrel. It's a good price. I don't like it just straight out, like straight out the bottle. No, I mean it's good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just I wouldn't pay that for that. But with about 1 melted ice cube's worth of water, it's Johnny on the spot. Really opens up the flavor profile.
I really think most things are better with a little bit of, at least a couple of drops of water in it, is the thing I've discovered recently. Like, I know people have talked about it being a thing, but I never really tried it. I didn't really understand why I liked having ice in my drink before.
Yeah.
That's why. It really does a lot to the
Now,
flavor.
I will say this. I prefer whiskeys that don't need that.
Yeah.
That's my preference. Because even
They don't
even
need it.
even as it opens up the flavor profile, it does give it that slightly watered downness to it. And like even if it doesn't necessarily taste watered down,
Only if you put a full like ice cube in it. If you just put a couple of drops in it, it's
I think that's probably what I'm going to start doing. Is like keeping an eyedropper.
That's why I bought a bottle of Dasani to bring to put in my water tonight. Or
Solid.
in my alcohol tonight.
Right,
But
solid. But it's good. For $43 single barrel, I'm
that we
with
didn't
it.
pay for.
Yeah, that we didn't pay for. I'm with it.
I like it okay, but as I said in the thing, I don't know if it's in my head or if it's actually a flavor that I'm getting, but it kind of is giving me like a sour taste.
Yeah.
And
Maybe like a little bit like on the sides of my tongue ish.
Well, I don't
kinda
let it
like
touch
in the
yeah.
after as Michael Scott would say, the afterbirth.
oh my god, the finish, yeah.
Like right now, like there's just maybe just the faintest hint of lingering.
I could be just mistaken. Like it's not out of the realm of possibility here, but there's something about it that reminds me of Gentleman Jack, and I'm not the biggest fan of Gentleman Jack.
I've got a little bit of that in the freezer. We could have done a comparison, but I'm not going to go get it now.
Nah, I ain't about that life. I've got some rye in there. That's what I'll be drinking for the rest of the night.
I think my biggest problem, what I need to do to really learn to do like whiskey tastings and stuff like that, is I need to have a bunch of different whiskeys so I can
you can
compare
tell the
them
difference
on the spot. Like, 'cause it's hard for me, like having this, and then like, 2 weeks ago I had Alabama style. And
Well,
then, you know, so
when we do the
Scotch tasting.
yeah, we're gonna do. Did I already say that on this?
Oh,
Is
you
that
said on the pregame.
Well, on the pregame I mentioned it, but we're gonna be doing a Scotch taste test and interview with our friend and fan of the show, Chris.
Yeah.
In the
Looking forward
coming
to
weeks.
I'm not a Scotch guy. I'm hoping this can kind of open my eyes.
I'm interested, but what the general plan? I haven't told Bob this, but the general plan is for each of us to buy 2 bottles of Scotch.
You mentioned this to me.
Oh, okay. Well, each of us buying 2 bottles of Scotch, and then we'll have a glass of each.
We're gonna get real drunk.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be like a glass you pour to.
Derek. We're going to get.
Oh,
drunk.
it wasn't a. Okay.
That was a promise.
Okay.
That was not a worry. That was a promise.
That
the three
was,
of us we're going to do
the-
this on like a Friday night and just get hammered.
Fair enough. But yeah, we're going to try a couple of different things and ask him questions about.
Because he knows a lot about Scotch.
He knows a lot about Scotch, but I also want to ask him.
He's actually drank his age in Scotch, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
You need to do it. No, I think it's even too late for you to do it.
Much.
Ugh. So.
I ain't about that life. Can't do it. What if I just drink, like... I'll just blend to 15 years.
There you go.
Or 16
There you go.
years.
'Cause you're 31.
I'm about to be 32.
About to be 30. Yeah. It's too late for me.
Anyways.
I don't like Scotch enough to even care. So, all right. Well, let's talk about this. So, like I said, it's spooky season, and I don't know about you, but I know for me and Derek, some of our first exposure to real scary shit was Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And it's a 3-volume set. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, More Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and Scary Stories 3, More Tales to Chill Your Bones. And it may not ring a bell exactly by those names, but it's the ones with the incredibly scary, terrifying artwork. And normally that's when people are like, oh shit, I know what you're talking about. So it does suck that we can't show you the artwork on a podcast. If you haven't seen it, please go look it up. It's Stephen Gammell, Gammell. Just do his name and like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and oh god.
Like, nowadays I can handle it. However, as a child, it was literally the stuff of my nightmares.
Yeah. So, but it's spooky season, and this played a big influence on me. So I want.
It's the reason I don't like scary things.
Yeah. So, all right, to start off, let's get a little background.
All right.
Alvin Schwartz, he has passed away. He was born in 1927 in Brooklyn, New York, and died in 1992 in Princeton, New Jersey. He authored more than 50 books dedicated to and dealing with topics such as folklore and wordplay. Mostly they were written for young people. Mm-hmm. He did a stint in the Navy, and afterwards, that's when he became interested in writing. And he wound up getting a bachelor's degree from Colby College and a master's degree in journalism from Northwestern. He reported for the Binghamton Press from 51 to 55, and then during his professional writing career, his work had been published by a variety of different people, including Lippincott, Bantam, Forrest Ross, and HarperCollins. Stephen Gammell, the artist, he is still alive. He was born in 1943. He is known as an American illustrator of children's books. He won the 1989 Caldecott Medal for U.S. Picture Book Illustration. Mm-hmm. And it was for Song and Dance Man by Karen Ackerman was the book. Mm. In 1982, he was a runner-up for Where the Buffaloes Begin by Olaf Baker. Surprisingly, none of the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark books got nominated for a Caldecott. Shocker.
It's because they're terrifying and disturbing.
Yeah. So, about the books themselves. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was put out in 1981. More Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was in 84. And Scary Stories 3, More Tales to Chill Your Bones, was in 91. I was really surprised I thought they came out much closer together, but that was surprising to me to find out.
I was surprised they came out so late. When you told me that he had died in 92, I didn't even see them until it would have been 96.
Yeah, I would say that I probably got these in the early 90s. I would think. I was born in 85, so.
Yeah, I was 87, and when I first moved to Germany, and I think I moved to Germany when I was 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So,
get this. This series is listed as being the most challenged series of books from 1990 to 1999, and the 7th most challenged from 2000 to 2009 by the American Library Association.
Of course, that makes so much sense.
But it's not for the artwork, it's for violence. And there are some very violent stories in here.
Bruh.
There are.
I mean...
but there's a lot of stories about cannibalism and all. I mean, there's some.
Don't they have like Lord of the Flies in?
But no one eats anyone in Lord of the Flies. But Lord of the Flies, actually, the Lord of the Flies gets objected to a lot. It's highly challenged because it's a bunch of kids killing each other.
Yeah. Which from where I come from, that seems perfectly legit.
They're kids.
They're kids,
right?
They have to earn the right for me to respect him later in life,
right?
Somehow,
live to your 30s, and then we can talk.
Then we'll talk.
All right, to celebrate the book's 30th anniversary in 2011, HarperCollins re-released the books with new illustrations from Brett Hellquist, he was the guy who did A Series of Unfortunate Events artwork. All right, this is no surprise. This has come under severe criticism because the artwork wasn't scary. Like, this artwork is terrifying, but it's real fucking good. It's real fucking good. I would argue that some of them may be too terrifying for children, but some of these stories are too fucked up for children. Really, like, yes, this is for kids, but bruh, man, there's some fuckery that goes on.
I think if you put your big boy pants on, you'd be fine.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think, like, I
know.
I read these and I turned out like me, so I don't know. Maybe that's not the best case.
Well, there was other circumstances.
There were other things.
Yeah.
So this is exciting-ish.
Really selling us on.
Well, I just don't see how this is going to work. But in 2013, CBS Films acquired the rights to the series.
Okay.
To do as a film. Okay. It was announced in 2014 that writer John August would write it, but. Now, here's where it picks up a little bit. In 2016, it was announced that Guillermo del Toro would develop the project, which that's cool. Potentially attached to direct. He's not now, though. So, as of April 29th, 2018, Guillermo del Toro, he is the co-writer of the film, and in August, Michael Garza, Austin Abrams, Gabriel Rush, Austin Zajur, and Natalie Ganshorn, and are all cast. Mm-hmm. So they've started casting for it.
I don't know some of those people.
I don't know any of them. Yeah. But Andre Overdahl.
Okay.
It's some Scandinavian name. Andre Overdahl, we'll say that, is directing it. So that's pretty cool.
I don't know how it's going to...
I don't see how you turn these into...
No, I feel like this would...
But, I don't know, They did. I think they'll probably end up doing it something like how they did the the Goosebumps movie that came out because it wasn't really about any one particular Goosebumps book. It kind of was like all of them together kind of deal.
We'll see.
So yeah, we will see. All right. So I pinned up some questions for us as we dive into this. First off, Derek, did any of these stories scare you?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, they were, however, in large part because I remembered how they made me feel when I was a kid.
Okay.
For example, the haunted house scared me in book 1.
Which one is that? I don't remember the titles necessarily. But I have read these repeatedly. 29.
It's
29.
Yeah. And the reason is, it's the one with the preacher and the...
Okay, yeah. Oh, God. The So I made...
Yeah, because of the page turn.
Yeah.
That's what got me.
I made a special note. Yeah. There is... The artwork on this is one of the top 5 creepiest pieces of artwork. It's this zombie, eyeless woman with scraggly hair.
Well, good, because that was my number 1 choice for the next question of scariest...
Artwork?
Art
it's not. It's top 5, but it's not the scariest.
I had 2 on there that really didn't do it for me.
IMHO.
Yeah. But that one really.
Quick aside, did you know there's debate over what IMHO stands for now?
It's either honest or humble, and people debate which one it is.
Yeah, it's like basically like an age thing. Like when it started out, it was humble opinion.
Oh,
and
really?
Yeah, as like new people come into it, they think it's honest opinion. Or I may have that backwards. But yeah,
I don't
it's
care.
kind of an age thing.
Either
But
way,
yeah,
it means the same fucking thing.
But yeah, no, the artwork on that definitely, like the story itself isn't super.
No, but it was the
scary,
turn.
but
It was the
artwork,
page
you
turn.
turn that page,
I
you
was
see
like,
that.
fuck.
Oh fuck!
That's
yeah.
the one I was talking about. I was reading it at work.
Yeah.
And I got to the page turn and went, this is the picture that scared the crap out of me as a kid.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
this was the
terrifying.
scariest one,
Terrifying.
except for maybe the front cover.
Okay.
The front cover.
The front
really
cover, I
freaked
really
me out.
liked it, but the front cover, it was the color kind of is what made it less scary because it made me think of clowns, and clowns don't scare me.
Clowns do scare me.
Okay.
So,
But
yeah,
none of these none of these stories scared me.
that's not the only one I have.
Okay.
That scared me.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, another one that scared me was high beams.
Oh, now yeah,
That-
high beams.
Because the ones that one and the one where the call's coming from in the house.
Yeah.
Those ones still creep me out because
The closest one that scared me like that was Oh Susanna, where she hears the humming.
Yeah.
Because that one made me think of Humans Can Lick too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, the high beams. That's such a classic.
High beams. That one.
For those who don't know, high beams is about a woman. She gets into a car, she's leaving, and someone keeps flashing their
Lighting her
high
down,
beams, right?
yeah.
And she gets freaked out. But it's because there's a serial killer in the back seat, and every time he shines his high beams, it's because the serial killer was trying to stab her,
And it sees the lights and freaks out and comes back down out of the back seat.
So it's a cool story.
Yeah.
But definitely one of the, like that and like The Hook are those like classic urban legends.
But those ones freak me out because they're not ghosts.
Yeah.
And not ghosts freak me out
Yeah.
much more than ghosts generally.
So let's dive into what was the scariest artwork. So you think it was
Either that one or in book 3 on page 30.
Book 3, page 30. I hope that y'all have these so you can look them up. I'm going to try and put a couple of the pictures. Harold.
Yes.
Okay, the artwork for Harold, that is super terrifying.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like a scarecrow, but it looks very much like a human with his legs splayed wide. Like very clearly like it's a terrifying, the most terrifying scarecrow you've ever seen in your
We'll
life.
talk about that more.
Oh, no, I'm going to go deep on Harold.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm
Okay.
going deep on Harold. For me, the scariest artwork is the Wolf Girl.
Right. I remember that was book 3 too, right?
It is. To this day, I don't...
Still
I
creeps you out?
Yeah.
I know you wrote that story, but there
I
it is.
did. Yeah. 47.
Yeah.
It's actually on page 49.
No, yeah.
To this day, like
That is pretty creepy.
some years back when I was doing some Ravenloft campaigns, like running some Ravenloft, I read all these books to get ideas, and I like flipped over that page. Like it still to this day creeps me out and unnerves me, really badly. Oh God! To me, it is hands down the creepiest. The runner-up is on page 52.
Is it the spider one?
No, that is fucking fucked. But
I didn't think this one was that
oh
scary.
God! All right, so to describe the picture, God, I hate that we can't do this.
Use your words. This is a good practice.
Yeah. All right. It's a woman with like solid black eyes and long, scraggly black hair. Just
Very small eyes.
very small
very
eyes.
big mouth.
Yeah, and
small
just
nose.
oh God, she's just staring at you, and it creeps it creeps me out.
I didn't read the story accompanied it.
The Dream.
Yeah.
It's actually a good one. It's basically, to summarize it, this woman has a dream about seeing she sees this creepy woman like staring at her in this room, and she goes to like the next town and goes like rent this room, and like everything that she sees was in her dream, and like the dream was telling her like don't stay here, like don't whatever you do don't stay here kind of deal.
Yeah.
And when she gets there, she like opens the door, like she's sitting in the room, like thinking like, okay, well, I probably shouldn't stay here.
Yeah.
And she just knock on the door, and she thinks it's going to be the landlady. When she opens it, it's the woman from her dream. Yeah, it's creepy. But yeah, the red spot, the story about the spiders bursting from your cheek. Yeah, I just don't like spiders at all, and that terrified me.
So you were just like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Tell me you skipped over it.
I didn't skip over it because, like,
You gave it short shrift. You're like, of course, this is terrifying. It's spiders.
That's why I didn't rate it higher, because like I'm just
Can't
I'm just
tell
scared
if
of
it's
spiders,
yeah.
you know. So that was a really fucking creepy Oh,
Well, the artwork was just like there was a hole in their face.
Yeah.
It was just...
with tiny baby spiders bursting out of it.
Yeah, no.
Oh. All right. What did you think was the best of the three? I know you haven't finished book 3, but which one did you think was the best?
I think book 3 was my favorite.
Correct. Book 3 is the best book.
Book
And
3 is the one that, and the reason I think it's the best is because growing up, my brother has always been a big reader. He's my big brother. He would read things to me because I was just too active and I just wasn't going to sit down. So he would read stuff and either read it directly to me or tell me about it. And he read about these and told me about these, and most of the ones that he liked and the ones that I liked were out of book 3.
Yeah.
So that's the one that I remember the most of.
Yeah. I hardcore agree with that. I think it's for a different reason, though. And I think the reason he probably read most to you from that is because the first 2 books have a number of sections of just silliness.
Yeah.
Did
this not?
Not really. It has one section where the stories aren't quite as serious, but
the baseball
they're
one
not
and
they're not super silly.
Yeah.
The first 2, like the second book is the worst in my opinion. When I was making notes on this, I have no notes from book 2. I have notes from book 1 and notes from book 3, but I have no notes from book 2 really, just because it had the least creepy artwork and the least creepy stories.
I have a couple of them from those.
Yeah.
But very specific reasons.
Yeah. And so book 3 is the most well-rounded. It has fewer of the songs. Like, I don't really like the song parts.
I'm not a big fan of the songs either.
It had less songs, less poems, more stories, more creep factor. So if you're coming into this as an adult, definitely book 3 is your best bet.
Yeah, if you're
coming
the one.
as a kid, book 1 and book 2,
they're probably fine.
Yeah,
they're still pretty.
Yeah,
scary.
but book 3 is the best. And I think it's because they really just amped it up on that.
I'm not gonna lie. Book 2 actually has one of the stories that scared me the most as a kid.
Which one?
We'll get to that when we get to my favorite stories.
Okay. What did you think was the scariest story?
I have 3 written down.
Okay.
Actually, I didn't remember.
For once, I only have 1.
So I have 1 from each book, basically.
Okay.
So from book 1, the one that scared me the most was High Beams.
Yeah.
Because that always creeps me out.
Serial killers are real and real scary.
Book 2, The Bride. The Bride is the one where the girl's playing hide and seek on her wedding.
Oh, and she can't get out of the...
I don't do claustrophobia.
For those who don't know, this girl, they're playing hide and seek right after her wedding, and she goes and hides in in the attic in her grandfather's suitcase. But
as she's getting in, she trips and hits her head. And
she knocks herself out, and the case locks. So everyone is given up looking for her by the time that she comes to, basically. And so they find her years later, dead as fuck in this
tiny fucking suitcase that she could barely fit in to begin with.
Terrifying. Getting buried alive is so freaky.
Mm-hmm. And then 3, Harold.
Harold. Okay, yeah, no, Harold is good. Yeah. It would definitely be in my top 3.
When we get to favorite stories,
yeah.
So here in a minute, I'll tell you why.
Harold is my favorite story.
Probably mine too.
And I can go deep on that. All right, so my scary story.
Before you,
that's fine. Was the plague story? The story about the girl who heard her mom check into a hotel. Did you get to that?
3?
I believe so.
I don't even remember that one from when I was a kid.
Woman and her mom check into a hotel. Her mom gets sick, so they call the hotel doctor.
Right.
Hotel doctor shows up. Is like, oh hey, if you could. I'm busy. Go to my home, pick up some of this medicine, and bring it back. Well, the cab driver takes her this long, circuitous route. It takes a long time for her to get the medicine. She finally gets back, and she's like, "Hey," she goes to her room and I forget exactly how it goes, but maybe she goes to her room or something like that. But she gets to the hotel, and the hotel's like, "You don't stay here." It's like, "No, yeah, my mom is here." The doctor's looking after her, here's a doctor. He's like, yeah, I've never seen you before. And she's like, show me my room. Shows her the room. It's completely different color carpet. Instead of 1 queen size bed, it's got two full size beds. Everything's completely different. Yeah. And the story, that's where the story ends. You have to go into the back and read the foot. It tells you though, to find out why she wasn't crazy, go to page 112. And when you do, the story is her mom had the plague, and the doctor realized that, and it's in Paris, and he didn't want to create a scare, so the mom died.
Oh.
They redid
Tore everything
up. Yeah, tore everything up and replaced it, and
Jesus.
yeah, and to me, that's the scariest story, because what if that happened to you? Like, you checked into this room, but then government fuckery comes along behind you. Yeah, go ahead and put me about 2 fingers in there, please. Yeah. Government fuckery comes along behind you, or anything, like corporate, like for whatever reason, someone comes along behind you, changes everything, and then acts like you're the one that's crazy. And you just think about like how you would start to doubt yourself, even though
Dude, I know how bad that shit is when I'm just thinking back on whether or not I started end of day.
That's like the more like existential kind of
horror. That's more for you though, because as we've discussed, I don't know if we've mentioned it on the podcast, but you're terrified of going insane, and not because you wouldn't know it.
Right? Yeah. No,
I definitely see how that would go right into kind of steer into that.
Well, so that's why it's the scariest one for me.
Yeah.
Let's skip over favorite story. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
What did you think was the funniest story?
I have a whole bunch of ones listed.
Yeah.
The girl who stood on a grave.
Yeah.
That one made me laugh.
That's a classic. They dare her to stand on a grave,
and to prove she was there, she had to hammer something into the ground.
She has to like stick a knife into the ground, and she sticks it through her dress, and so when she tries to leave,
she thinks something's grabbing her, and she dies of fright. Yeah,
it's not really funny, but
it's dark humor.
It's dark humor.
Another one I really liked was the Viper.
Oh, I'm the Viper. I come to wash your windows.
That's one of those that my brother would tell me all the time.
I love it. I like the artwork too. That's like one of the least creepy artworks in there.
Then the ghost with the bloody fingers.
Just get a Band-Aid.
Yeah, which was another one that my brother told me all the time.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't remember why I wrote down rings on her fingers.
I don't
remember which one that is.
Yeah, I don't either.
The cat in the shopping bag.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. Basically, this woman runs over a cat, puts it, she's going to take it home and bury it, so she puts it in a shopping bag. Someone breaks into her car and steals the bag, and she follows the woman. The woman goes to a restaurant, opens the bag, freaks out, passes out, so they call the ambulance, and as she's leaving, the lady who was robbed takes the bag with a cat and is like, oh, hey, this is hers. She'd hate if she forgot it. So, she's just going to open that bag again and freak the fuck out. It's great. Karma. Love it. What else did you have? Did you have another one?
Mostly I was just trying to remember why I did
Rings on I'll tell you mine then.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Slithery D. The Slithery D came out of the sea.
Oh,
he ate
right.
everybody, but he didn't eat me. The Slithery D came out of the sea. He ate everybody, but he didn't. Love it. Love it. And the artwork is really cool.
Yeah.
I really like the artwork on it. Which one is Rings on Her Fingers? What book is that? Book 2?
It's the one, yeah.
Book 2.
Oh, it's the one where the lady dies but isn't dead, and then the grave
robber goes to rob her,
and she just wakes up, and he freaks slam the fuck out and falls in. And
And
she just goes on with her life. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No big deal. No big deal.
But I think the Viper is probably my favorite.
That is
of
a good one.
The funniest ones. Yeah.
I'm the Viper. I come to wash your windows.
I do have a thing that you didn't actually mention. There was one that I actually thought was really sad.
Yeah.
In book 2, it's The Bed by the Window.
Oh, that story is so fucked up.
Yeah, that was...
The premise is there's 4 guys... Well, it starts out with 4. It starts out with 4 guys in this old... they're in a nursing home kind of deal, like a hospice care kind of situation. And there's one bed by the window. And to make the story short, this guy wants to be by the window. So, because he's been hearing the guy who is by the window telling him all these amazing stories of what he sees. So he kills the guy. And when he gets moved into the bed by the window, there's no window. It was just the guy's imagination.
Well, no, it was a window, but it was... All it showed was the bricks on the wall outside the window.
Yeah.
And the guy was always explaining, pretty girls and all the beautiful things he saw. And it was like, oh, he was he was just trying to...
Yeah.
Keep his
Maybe think
spirits
of Dane and Gregor from
exactly.
Kings of the Wild.
Exactly. That's what I thought too. Which is real sad.
Yeah. I liked in Bloody Rose how he named the owlbears Gregor and Dane.
Yeah, I like that too.
All right. So, what was your favorite story?
So I have a couple of them written down, and then I'll tell you the one that was actually... The answer is Harold.
Yeah.
Harold is my favorite story. Some of the other ones that I liked was A New Horse.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
liked
one.
that one a lot. That was the front runner for a while.
It's kind of the stereotypical, like, a witch comes and throws a bridle on a guy, turns him into a horse, and rides him all night, except the twist is the guy gets the bridle off, puts it on her, gets horseshoes put on her, trades her to her husband for a horse, and when he pulls the bridle off, and he just rides off, and when the husband pulls the bridle off, his wife is standing there with horseshoes nailed into her hands and feet. It's great. I can't believe this gets contested for violence.
I know, right? Another one was, well, in its defense, they say that they attach shoes, but like if you're a kid, I don't know that you really know that you're supposed to nail them into the feet of the horse. True. But also the Viper, just because that was that was one of my brother always told me.
I can see I can visualize your brother doing that.
Yeah. One Sunday morning.
That's the one where the woman goes to church. She wakes up too early and goes to church, and there's dead people.
And they're just like, get out. You're not supposed to be here.
Yeah, that was good.
And then this one is the only one that came close to Harold for me. The Window. Do you remember which one that is?
No.
It's the one where the girl is sleeping in the bed near the window, and she looks outside. She sees a creature.
Oh, the vampire story.
Basically.
Yeah.
That one.
That's a creepy story.
That one did so much to me as a kid. Like, that one scared the shit out of me.
That is a creepy story.
Until, like, her brothers were, like, sleeping with guns, and next time it showed up, they ran it off and shot it and found it in a crypt or whatever.
Yeah.
I never put two and two together that was a vampire.
Mm-hmm. If you read the notes at the back,
makes sense. Yeah.
The cool thing about these books, if you haven't done a deep dive on them,
it's the best thing. I just didn't have time.
He was a folklorist, so he has notes in the back on where he found all these stories and like other traditions of it, and yada yada yada. It's really cool. All right, so let's talk about Harold. Harold is the best.
Before you do it, I'll tell you why I think it's the best.
Uh-huh.
And it's
mine is. All right, go ahead.
I assumed yours was research.
No, mine is.
Go ahead.
Because I kind of used it to influence some D&D.
Oh, okay.
So like there's a few stories in here that I used eventually in writing, like as inspiration for writing or D&D. Mm-hmm. I used Harold somewhat in a D&D campaign. Used him as kind of influence for the Backwards Man story.
Yeah.
Timey Dottie Walker.
That one seemed familiar, but
okay. So, cool story about that. So, Ravenloft, if you're not familiar, Ravenloft is this very evil setting in D&D.
Oh, wait, no, that one creeped me out, too.
Timey Dottie Walker?
Yeah, just
Timey Dottie Walker, the story is like this guy is spending...
dog.
Yeah, the guy is spending the night in this haunted house. He takes his dog with him. And off in the distance, you hear, Timey Dottie Walker. And the dog stands up and says, Kinchy, Minchy, Lynchy, Collie, Molly, Dingo, Ringo. And like... off in the distance, you hear Timey Dottie Walker louder, and it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until a head rolls down the chimney, and the guy just dips the fuck out. All right, in Ravenloft,
well, the dog. That's not what happens. It rolls down. The dog fucking freaks out and dies, and then he's just like,
So in Ravenloft, there's a creature that's basically a severed head with spider legs.
Ooh.
And I had this happen. I had the whole Timey Dottie Walker dog yelling back at it as the party is staying overnight in an inn. And one of the players got freaked out so badly that he was literally like shouting, "Someone shoot the dog! Someone shoot the fucking dog! Shoot the fucking dog!" Like was freaking the fuck out. It was great.
Your greatest moment as a DM?
No, that was my second greatest moment as a DM. The greatest moment was giving Dusty nightmares.
Oh, I thought that was in the same...
It was the same campaign, not the same session.
Okay.
The Timey Dottie Walker was like 2 sessions later. The first session of that campaign gave Dusty nightmares, and Harold fed into that.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's when you mentioned it.
Harold is terrifying.
Yeah, Harold... So...
What's the creepiest part of the story? I'll tell you what I think it is.
I'll tell you what the part that always scared me the most as a kid.
Okay.
And it's the fact that when it shows up on the roof. and like you see it at the very end,
unfurling the
Yeah.
skin. All right. To me, the creepiest part is how it describes that he's up on the roof, clopping like a horse, like kind of like can't like his like the way they describe how they describe how he's walking on the roof
Because-
creeps me the fuck out.
Why?
Well, I wonder if I could just find like you. I'll see.
Yeah,
if I can
okay.
find it real quick.
So the reason I thought it was the best, first of all, I didn't realize this was a story because I don't actually remember my brother reading this story to me, but I do remember him telling me very similar stories that he then would change parts of.
The next morning,
make
while they were
worse.
eating, Harold stood up and walked out of the hut. He climbed up on the roof and trotted back and forth like a horse on its hind legs. All day and all night long, he trotted like that. And that just creeped me out. It's bad enough that this inanimate scarecrow has come to life, but it's like not... It's not even acting like a human should act. Kind of like the way it's like just like prancing up on the... Oh, no.
And they were being such dicks to it, like beating it
Yeah.
when they had a bad day and stuff. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, y'all dead.
Yeah.
Y'all finna get it.
Oh, God.
But no, when we were growing up, anytime we would have like those, you know, like all you and your friends get together and you're going to tell scary stories,
Yeah.
that was more often than not, that was the basis my brother built his story on, was that. And then
Yeah.
he would change things
Yeah.
and make it worse, and it was never the same twice. Fuck that story. That
Yeah.
shit scared me so much.
If you treat yourself...
And the art is also
the art.
terrifying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, that's, all in all, that is the best story in all of these.
Did any other stories like really stand out to you? Anything like I have a few things that kind of stood out to me that I wanted to talk on.
I really liked A New Horse, again, just
Yeah.
because I thought it was interesting that it was a little creepy, but also it was just one of those where that dude was just nonchalant. Was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And then just won at the end,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. So a couple things. One, the poem "There Was a Man Who Lived in Leeds."
Yeah.
That story has weirdly resonated with me. Even right now, let's see if I can see how
Was
much.
that book one?
There was a man who lived in Leeds who filled his garden full of seeds. And when the seeds began to grow, it was like a garden filled with snow. And when the snow began to melt, it was like a ship without a belt. And when the ship began to sail, it was... that's as far as I got. But
Oh, hold on.
no one knows what that poem means. And when I was younger, I got kind of obsessed with trying to figure out what it was actually about.
Sail?
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so, and when the ship began to sail, it was like a bird without a tail. And when the bird began to fly, it was like an eagle in the sky. And when the sky began to roar, it was like a lion at my door. And when the door began to crack, it was like a penknife in my back. And when my back began to bleed, I was dead, dead, dead indeed. Creepy. So, I don't know, I've always been really obsessed with that poem.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that... The last thing I'll really kind of talk about that like really kind of... Or, well, two things. One, the Wendigo. The story of the Wendigo. That was my first exposure to the Wendigo myth
Yeah.
and legend.
But then it's almost nothing like any other Wendigo.
Yeah, it's very different. And if you go read the footnotes, like, I don't think he did his due diligence on that bit of research.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because he talks about like how the Wendigo spirit's primarily like a female spirit and this and the other. And I've never read that anywhere. And I've done a fair bit of research on the Wendigo because I've done a Wendigo story.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, this is my first exposure to the legend, and it's always fascinated me. The other thing was
It's a good episode of Supernatural Season 1, too.
Yeah. So the story "Such Things Happen." That story is about the guy who his cow just quits giving milk.
Right.
And the vet's like, well, you know, these things happen. And the guy whose cow was like, I think I've been bewitched.
Oh, the one...
He doesn't really believe it at first, but then bad shit keeps happening. Yeah, so he's...
Yeah. Art was also kind of creepy.
Yeah, he talks about like how his grandfather said, like, you know, if you're ever bewitched, you just draw the outline of the witch on a black oak tree or something.
On a black walnut.
Black walnut, yeah. And then you drive a nail just a little bit deeper.
You draw an
into the
X
heart.
where her heart should be, and then you drive a nail into it just a little bit, and then every day you drive it a bit more.
And eventually the witch will either come by or send someone by asking to borrow something, and if you give it to them, the spell is broken. But if not, she will get sicker and sicker until she relents. Well, this bitch don't relent, and she just dies
on his doorstep.
On his doorstep. But anyway, I think that story, just that talk of witchcraft and that kind of hoodoo, that's really resonated with me. And I think it's a reason why things like the Howard Marsh stuff that I write appeals to me so much.
I didn't put two and two together, but again, and most of this stuff just comes back to me as a kid remembering the scary stories that me and my brother would tell each other. That one, it wasn't that exact story, but that type of story where like a witch is doing something and then you have to kind of like find a way to kind of counter it or something like that, and then like the witch dies, but it's kind of messed up.
Yeah,
that's a one that that was one of my favorites. It was like, ooh, that's weird and creepy, but also
really good.
But also good because you quote unquote you win at the end.
Yeah,
but it's still terrifying, and you kind of feel bad because you're like, oh, I did kind of kill someone though.
So good. I bet like I don't know if I think this was probably the earliest strong influence on me as a writer.
Yeah.
This was the first. This and Bruce Coville did a series of books that was a strong influence as well in a different way. But this, I think you could probably... This is probably the reason why I write horror, this series of books.
Yeah.
I liked horror, but like reading stuff like this led to me... I collected horror short story collections, got me into H.P. Lovecraft.
This is why I don't like horror, because that art.
Yeah, I think there's two kinds of people in the world: those that read this when they're young and like, oh god, because it still scared me when I was young.
Yeah,
but I watch horror movies today because I want to be scared.
Yeah,
you know? So
I ain't about that life. That ain't for me. I mean, every once in a while it's okay, but for the most part, no thanks.
Oof. All right. Well, I think I've said all I wanted to say. Yep. Everything else, like a lot of the stuff that I had notes on, you brought up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the red spot, and then like
those were some of the memorable ones.
Yeah.
But I think I like that we agreed. Like Harold is.
Yeah. No, Harold. It's also like kind of sort of it's one of the longer stories in there.
Yeah.
It's probably like in the top 3 or 4 longest stories. And I think that's you could kind of dig more into it.
Yeah. And there's more progression, and you're like, oh no, it's getting creepier.
I think it's generally just a better story, but it's also so fun.
And one of the things that terrifies me the most to this day is scarecrows. I don't do... Like, not...
Fair.
That the idea...
Scarecrows are creepy.
Jeepers Creepers?
I haven't seen it, but I'm familiar.
There's some scarecrowy-ness in that, and I'm...
No. Well, I mean, they're supposed to be scary. Granted, to crows, but if fucking scares a crow, I feel like it could scare me.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
Just that I loved these.
Yeah.
Again, complicated relationship with these.
Yeah.
They were a lot of fun.
I wonder if you can still buy. I wonder if they're still in print. If they are, I'll put a link into where you can go buy them. But only if you can buy them with the original artwork. If you can't,
don't get the
no. But you can.
Although I am curious about, do you have the ones with the other art so that I could look at it, or do I just need to look it up online?
You need to look it up online, Derek.
You ain't about... Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
You don't support that
I
nonsense.
don't. I will not buy them if it's not the original artwork.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I've got probably like 12 copies of like 12 books of them. But yeah, so all right. Let us know what you think about this new format. I like it more.
I like it more, too.
I like it more. And at the end of the day, we're the ones doing it. So.
Yeah.
We got to keep it interesting for us. So I like the new format, but if you just really don't, if there's something small of the older format that you would like us to bring back, maybe we'll consider it. Just let us know.
I almost looked up news just to see if there's anything of mention.
If I just
didn't have time
for me, what I'm going to do, if I just see, I'm not going to go looking for it, but if I see something that's relevant, I'll bring it up. But yeah, so next week I'm thinking we'll probably end up doing some sort of book battle.
Okay.
We'll figure out. We'll figure Dave. All right. I had a lot of fun doing this. This Four Roses. I don't have ice in it now, so it's not as good. I need to go put some melted ice in it. And cheers. Good shit. All right. As always, go forth and grow a great beard.